I could have swore I unmuted that mic the first time. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, like I said, I'll be with y'all in a minute. Setting up a stream, obviously. Oh, word. Yeah. Okay. Looking here, this should be day 3. Okay. Get this second, guys. This is entertainment, right? Yeah. Save. Takes that long. Thank you. Yeah. It was I opened it up. So yeah. Alrighty then. Alrighty then. I saw the thing come up, but I don't know if it's I'll check it out in a second right here. Alrighty then, let me see. Where's phone? Would it be on the phone? Yeah, it is on the phone. Okay, but that's weird. Oh no, it's not weird. Because that's where I would normally put the phone, I think. I'm gonna try to fix this. Okay. So what is this behind that? Oh, it's a switch that's on. Yeah, your game is up. Hmm? Try here. Do something. Yeah, your game's playing.
Yeah, so the third one has a gigantic symbol in it that no one ever really discussed it. Okay, what's the goal like? If you basically work on what the trilogy is all about, it becomes this symbol that is never discussed. No one ever talks about it. No one even mentions it. No one refers to it. And yet it's there, clearly.
Matrix Revolutions begins with an explosion of golden light, then the emergence of the Green Code, and then the Matrix. The entire simulation then transforms into an unknown symbol, and as the image pulls away, the rainfall of codes and symbols appear. Now we are in the real world. Interesting transitions. In just a few seconds, we were introduced to 4 levels of reality. The first level is the unexplained, mysterious golden light. The second level is the Matrix simulation, the big city where the imprisoned humans live. The third level is the unknown symbol that could represent the constructs connected to the Matrix, such as Mobile Ave and the Architect's Room. And the fourth level is the real world and Zion. With this list, we are beginning to understand what the golden light could be. Maybe the answer lies in Neo's blindness. After Neo's fight against Smith, that cost him both his eyes, he began to see reality differently. This was no accident. What the Wachowskis tried to do here was to make a parallel of Neo with other blind messiahs. In fact, in Enter the Matrix, Trinity mentions to Ghost that there have been many blind messiahs throughout history.
Like Augustine, I'm dedicated to a higher purpose.
What's that?
Honorism.
Is that why so many saints are blind?
This is more symbolic than literal. When a messiah or prophet goes blind, they open their third eye. The third eye is a mystical and esoteric concept. It refers to the invisible or etheric eye and energetic vortex that provides perception beyond what could be perceived with ordinary sight. It is a spiritual eye that allows us to see beyond reality. It is here that we start to move away from the literal to the metaphysical meaning of the golden light. For a long time, we tried to connect the golden light with something literal, like the source, trying to discard the explanation of many philosophers who have seen the films, that the machines are beings of light, and that what we saw in the movies was something spiritual, but we can't reach a more objective conclusion of what the golden light is. The famous Sherlock Holmes once said, "When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth." Neo can't see the golden light without his eyes, unless something else was activated within him. The references to Buddhism are more literal than symbolic in the movie script. Seraph is compared to the image of the sitting Buddha. Remember when I told you to keep the Buddha in mind? This is a metaphysical interpretation of Buddhist philosophy. The golden light is not only the spiritual world, but it is the basis of all existence. It's not only the machines, nor is it a single consciousness. The golden light is the foundation of reality. According to esoteric Buddhism, the clear light, or being enlightened, is a state of the mind in which our consciousness transcends. However, we do not believe that this is all that the golden code is, but is also something more. What do I mean? Let's talk about Buddhist atomism. According to many Buddhist and Hindu beliefs, reality is composed of light, small atoms known as dharmas. The Buddhists deny the existence of substantial matter altogether. Movement consists, for them, of moments. It is a staccato movement, momentary flashes of stream of energy. Everything is evanescent. Curiously, when Neo is assimilated by Smith, the script mentions liquid light pouring into him, which is a reference to the energy stream in Buddhism. Neo's body hangs motionless, supported by the passageway, as we see as Neo would, an empty husk that is being filled, liquid light pouring into him from every connection. The old Smith realizes that he is laughing alone. There is something wrong with this new Smith. The new Smith begins to tremble, a shiver that grows into a convulsion. Oh no, 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 it's not fair. It's not fair. Neo's body arches, his arms pin wide as he tries to scream, but instead of sound, a shaft of light beams out. This explanation of reality means several things. Looking again at the intro of Matrix Revolutions, the explosion of golden light is quite similar to the Big Bang. According to Buddhism, what we see with our own eyes is nothing more than an illusion of the ego. After going through all this information, what does the golden light mean? In our opinion, it is the foundation of reality. It's reality in its purest form. Maybe if Neo saw the city of Zion after losing his sight, he might have also seen it in golden light. We could say that the golden light is the source of life, but it's more than that. It is the source of everything that exists. This leads us to believe that Matrix Revolutions was showing us two different matrices. The first matrix that was created by the machines, and the second matrix that was created by the perception of reality of the humans and machines from the supposed real world. If the golden light is a reference to Buddhist animism, then what the Wachowskis wanted to tell us was that at the end of the movie, the war didn't matter, the simulation didn't matter, Zion didn't matter, nothing matters, because in the end, the only truth about reality is that there is no single reality, only interpretations of it. The Matrix is just as important as the real world. Everything is a simulation. It's not enough to wake up from the regime that has imprisoned us. We must wake up from what we have been programmed to believe is real.
So you can say like, okay, choice is important. Choice is a part of everyone's lives. Choices, but that paradigm of projecting choice is not different. It's a matrix, just like Catholicism or Christianity or symbols of metaphysics or really even philosophical constructs. This is why no one really mentions this, but everyone says, oh, simulacrum and Baudrillard, you're referencing Baudrillard. But the point of the reference is that the book is hollow. It is itself a matrix. It is itself a construction, a projection, a tool for understanding the world or having a framework of meaning. That's what these things have. They're frameworks of meaning. So what we were trying to do is, can you encourage audiences to interrogate their own framework for meaning, and then through that interrogation, extend it into the experience of watching a piece of art, and then try to find meaning in that piece of art.
If our explanation of what is the Golden Code isn't simple or clear enough, well, it's because that was the intention of the creators, in our opinion at least. The Wachowskis created this grand mystery based on some religious philosophies to create a level of mysticism in the film. It is interesting how the directors managed to incorporate and explore religious and philosophical themes in Matrix Revolutions without directly mentioning religion. It is a secular version of the stories about religion. That is why the Golden Light is so complicated. It is the greatest mystery of religion and beyond.
Instant Band could never solve the third one. I'm kidding.
Hey, Soul, what's going on? I saw a bit of your stream yesterday, but I forgot to say something. Just wanted to wish you the best with everything and all of your endeavors. Well, thank you, Souls. Well, Solus? Is that Solus? Solus, sorry. I'm assuming that's what you pronounce your name, but thank you. Well, they're already working on Matrix 5, so that wasn't even the last Matrix. And I kind of get the Matrix that they just put out, I kind of get it. It's a Matrix made by the guy called the Analyst, so it's a different Matrix altogether. It's not even the same one. He states it. He's like, in my Matrix, your Matrix. Okay. And then he even says, Agent Smith even says, the thing that's funny about you, Neo, is that anyone could have been you. Anyone can be the one. But I'm everyone. And he swaps out of it.
out of his body into somebody else, and the person didn't even know he was even used. So that means in the next Matrix, you don't even need Keanu Reeves. Oh, you get anybody else to play the one. Give me a second. Huh? It will sell. You just need I don't think the what you said? Yeah, they have to get someone younger. Keanu Reeves too old. Oh man. Let's see something. What's the next thing?
In one of our very first
Let me listen to this. I want to hear this part.
Agent Smith is one of the most complex villains in cinematic history.
But he's not a villain. That's the most important part. He is not a villain. Actually, I gotta waste our time editing some new stuff for you tomorrow. Let me check this. Boom. Okay, that's looking good. Looking very healthy. Whoa. Okay.
Transitioning from a guardian of the simulation to a virus that threatened to destroy the Matrix and the real world. But what if Smith was innocent? What if it wasn't entirely his fault that he became a danger to everyone? While we continue to wait for news on Matrix 5, let's continue to review 5 of the darkest theories about the evil or misunderstood antagonist of the Matrix. What did Smith do in the real world? How did the Oracle corrupt him? And how could he return in Matrix 5? Did we misread the story and Smith did nothing wrong? Welcome to Matrix Explained. Welcome to the desert of the real. Number 5. Was Smith right? Neo was driven and motivated by love, his love for a single person, Trinity, and his compassion for his fellow humans, inside and out of the Matrix. Smith, on the other hand, was his antithesis, driven by hate and contempt towards the human race. He is a misanthropic villain, although he differs from other villains. He hates humanity simply because hate is all that he knows. His hate came as a result of a complex logical observation that led him to a dire conclusion, one that unfortunately does not favor humans. In order to understand this character, we need to study his words. The first time we caught a glimpse of Agent Smith's thought process was in Mr. Anderson's interrogation scene. At first, he seems calm and collective, a typical representative of the law, but as the scene progresses, he develops a stoic, robotic, and even sarcastic demeanor.
Tell me, Mr. Anderson, what good is a phone call if you're unable to speak?
This early part of the film reveals that Agent Smith relishes in torturing humans. Smith may seem like the classic evil guy stereotype, but his reason for hating humans is not irrational nor impulsive. Smith's interrogation of Morpheus is where we can see the basis of his reasoning.
I'd like to share a revelation during my time here. It came to me when I tried to classify your species. I realized that you're not actually mammals.
As he said, he tried to classify humans. As we know, Smith was created as an agent program, and their role is to maintain the facade within the Matrix and remove anyone that becomes too dangerous to the simulation, thus preserving the status quo. The fact that Agent Smith was trying to categorize humans is a trait that went a bit further beyond his basic programming. This is because his function is to maintain order in the system, not to question human actions and or motivations. Still, he insisted on asking himself what exactly is a human being, so he began his categorization process.
Every mammal on this planet instinctively develops a natural
Equilibrium with its surrounding environment.
You humans do not. You move to an area
And we multiply.
and multiply until every natural resource is consumed. The only way you can survive is to spread to another area. There's another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern. What is a virus?
We humans are considered the apex predator of this planet, but we differ from other mammals in the sense that we actually destroy our environment, bypassing any semblance of balance. We are an all or nothing species. This fact is irrational to Agent Smith, and not only that, it is also incompatible with how other animals live on the planet. And this brings him to the conclusion that we humans are a disease. The philosopher Hobbes stated that humans were evil by nature and needed authoritarian laws in order to keep them in check and be functional in society. He basically says that we need something to control our aggressive impulses that emanate from our selfish motivations. This is an idea that has been talked about countless times in philosophical discourses. For Agent Smith, however, this was more than a philosophical ideal. For him, this was the truth. He saw humans as destructive, more so when they rejected peace, made war with the machines, and jilted the Paradise Matrix. From the agent's point of view, humans are the worst thing that has happened to planet Earth. And this is true for the Matrix universe, because most issues and conflicts can be traced back to human selfishness and fears.
Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You are a plague. We are the cure.
Fascinating, isn't it? But it doesn't end there. Another curious point about Agent Smith's reasoning is that the destructive behavior that Smith classifies as human is not really reflected on the humans in the movie, but on himself and the other agents, which makes his dialogue a bit ironic. He talks about humanity being a virus, a plague that destroys everything in its path, yet his initial thoughts about humanity foreshadowed his own future. The question is, how can Smith hate humanity to then adopt their worst qualities? According to him, he was corrupted by humanity long before Neo entered his code.
Hate this place, this zoo, this prison, this reality, whatever you call it. I can't stand it any longer. It's the smell. It's everything. It's saturated by it. I can taste your stink. Every time I do, I fear that I've somehow been infected by its repulsive.
Agent Smith was afraid of being infected by humans, metaphorically, of course. Yet ironically, that statement ended up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. Smith was indeed infected by the worst things humanity could offer: hate, misery, and the desire for destruction. He became the very thing he hated the most. Smith wanted freedom. It was his whole world in Matrix Revolutions. Selfishness and hate took hold of Smith in his quest to destroy all life, life that has no value to him. This ties up Agent Smith's thinking with nihilistic tendencies, which became the basis for Smith's reasoning from that point on.
Believe you're fighting for something more than your survival? Can you tell me what it is? Do you even know? Is it freedom or truth? Perhaps peace? Could it be for love? Illusions, Mr. Anderson, vagaries of perception. Temporary constructs of a feeble human intellect trying desperately to justify an existence that is without meaning or purpose.
What Smith expresses in that bit of dialogue is the basis of existential nihilism, a philosophical school of thought that proposes that there isn't any objective value in life itself, that any purpose we give to it has no value, and it's just a simple illusion. According to the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, whose nihilistic doctrines are well known, humanity has to go through certain steps in order to become what he called a Superman, a man that is impervious to these illusions. And these steps go as follows. The camel, symbolizing the man who follows traditional morality, thus bearing great burdens. Therefore he must fight and reach other aspects of human existence. The lion, it refers to the revolutionary man who faces moral slavery and destroys everything. And the child, it refers to the purity form which new values are established. This evolution is seen in Agent Smith as he goes from being a representative of a controlled system, carrying the weight of a simulation on his shoulders, to becoming an enemy, a revolutionary of the system, who wished to destroy everything and recreate it in his own image. From Nietzsche's point of view, Smith becomes the lion at the end of Matrix Revolutions, the step in which he destroys everything to create something new, something custom-tailored for himself. In order for Smith to be reborn, he needed to destroy both humanity and the machines, the two pillars in which the old values that had him trapped for so long are based on. Smith is the equivalent of a person who spends their whole life trapped in a political or religious system, who takes notice about the control those systems have over them and decides to destroy it in order to be free and rebuild their lives as they see fit. Here's a shocker for you. Neo represents the system. He sets a trap for Smith so he can finally be assimilated and ultimately deleted from existence. In other words, the system won in the end. Makes us wonder if Agent Smith was right. Number 4. What did Smith do in the real world? Once upon a time, Smith infected everyone in the Matrix. He became a virus, capable of assimilating any program or machine connected to the simulation. Red pills are, by nature, part mechanical, allowing them to quickly learn new skills by directly downloading data into their brains. This was Smith's open door to the real world. Bane and another red pill were exiting the Matrix when Smith appeared and ambushed Bane. Smith infected Bane with his virus, replacing his consciousness and turning him into another Smith. Bane's assimilation was complete. Nothing was left of who he once was. You could say that Smith practically killed Bane. From then on, Smith was Bane, who would now fulfill his goals. The first thing Smith did with his new physical body was cut his hands. This is because, as an agent, he had never experienced pain, but by assimilating the body of a human, he began to experience all human senses. Smith felt pain for the first time. He was curious, but soon his true goal was revealed: to kill Neo in the real world. Inside the Matrix, Smith couldn't kill Neo. The one was simply too powerful within the simulation, but in the real world, he was just another flesh and blood human. Smith does come close to stabbing Neo with a knife, but is interrupted by Kid, who was bringing something to Neo, a spoon. The kitchen utensil represents that the Matrix is not real. But there is a deeper meaning behind this scene. Recall that the person who told Neo about the spoon was a child who lived with the Oracle, and his nickname was the Spoon Boy. This little boy helped Neo understand that the Matrix can be manipulated. But why would the boy send a spoon to Neo in the real world? There are two possible reasons. Either it was a coincidence, or it was planned. If it wasn't for Kid bringing that spoon to Neo, Smith would have injured or even killed Neo. The spoon was probably sent by the child because he knew that Neo would be in danger. Maybe the Spoon Boy foresaw it. Or the child could have been following the orders of the Oracle, who knew that Smith would try to kill Neo in the real world. After all, the Oracle is the one who protects the young potentials, including the Spoon Boy, and it can't be ruled out the possibility that their actions are linked to her. Smith's first attempt on Neo's life had failed, but of course, he wasn't going to give up. The ship, the Caddises, was dispatched to counterattack the Sentinels and Diggers that were burrowing towards Zion. However, Smith sabotaged their plan by activating the EMP bomb prematurely. The explosion affected all hovercrafts of the mission, causing the deaths of dozens of Resistance members and the failure of the mission. Bane was the only survivor, but he was left comatose. He was found by the Hammer crew and was placed in the infirmary, where Neo will soon be. Bane's body was in a coma because his mechanical implants were also affected by the EMP, causing his body to shut down. This is very interesting because it reveals a new detail about the Red Pills. The information that the Red Pills learn, including their consciousness, is probably stored in the mechanical sector of their brain. If they were exposed to an EMP in the real world, they could lose function. Perhaps the Red Pills have a type of internal memory where everything is stored, and this is where the Smith virus was housed inside Bane's body. But when Smith activated the EMP, his body was momentarily turned off. Upon awakening, Smith claimed that he remembered nothing.
I really wish I could help. I don't remember it.
He was lying, of course. He knew exactly what happened, and the crew was suspicious of him. The doctor of the Hammer was examining Smith when he attacked her.
Of course, it might not be very safe for you either.
Smith's goal was to sabotage Zion. He caused the death of dozens of people by activating the EMP, disabling their ships, and then he stowed away on board the hovercraft that Neo commandeers to travel to Machine City. Smith wanted to kill Neo before he could arrive at the source and save everybody. Smith's actions show that he simply wanted to destroy everything and everyone. He calls him Mr. Anderson after he takes Trinity hostage, revealing his identity. Smith wanted Neo to recognize him, and for him to realize that he was not safe from him, even in the real world.
I see you are as predictable in this world as you are in the other. What?
He's out of his mind.
Might appear that way to you, but Mr. Anderson and I know that appearances can be deceiving.
Smith once believed that Thomas Anderson was just another civilian who was no match for the agents. He was a weak human whom they let Morpheus recruit, an insignificant man that Smith enjoyed killing. But doing so resulted in the manifestation of the anomaly. The fact is that Smith underestimated Thomas Anderson, a mistake that resulted in his destruction. Smith will not make the same mistake again. He no longer underestimates Neo. Neo knew that appearances could be deceiving. Let's not forget that the Matrix Neo lived in appeared real, but it was just a simulation. Smith continues to throw hints at his true identity. We can see on Neo's face that he somewhat suspects who it is, but refuses to accept it.
Somehow familiar. We've been here before, you and I. Remember? I do. I think of nothing.
Smith is referring to the first Matrix when he shot Neo. Here is where Neo finally accepts who he's dealing with, but still needs confirmation. How do we know this? Well, Neo knew who Bane was. He was a member of the Resistance. They had strategy meetings together. They probably went on missions together. Neo knew who Bane was, and the person who was now in front of him was not Bane.
I admit it is difficult to be thick, encased in this rotting piece of meat. The stink of it filling every breath, suffocating cloud you can't escape.
Neo, in disbelief, now knows for a fact that it was Smith. After their one-on-one fight on the ship, Neo was left permanently blinded when Smith shoved an electric cable in his face. Yet somehow, Neo gained new sight. He could see Smith himself in golden code, another reference to the original film when Smith killed Neo. After Neo resurrected, he saw the Matrix in code. This scene could have been used to confirm that the real world was also part of the simulation, though it could also mean that Neo was able to see the Smith virus thanks to his mechanical implants. Neo was still connected to the Matrix in the real world, thanks to some unknown wireless connection that linked him to the Matrix. Neo bashes Bane's skull, and that was the end of Smith's odyssey in the real world. Or was it? Just as Smith was able to infect Bane's body, he could have done the same to another Red Pill. Smith did return in the Matrix Resurrections, but with a new, younger look. Yet the theory that a part of the Smith's virus still exists in the outside world still stands. Maybe in the future, there can be multiple Smiths roaming the simulation and the real world once again. While we still don't have any updates on Matrix 5, the producers would likely prefer to bring back as many legacy actors, like Hugo Weaving, for the upcoming sequel. That is, if it is indeed a sequel. Smith's story is far from over, but do you agree? Is the Smith virus still alive inside the body of another human? Number 3. The Oracle is Smith's mother. Smith is one of the agents of the sixth simulation. Some of the agents before him could have been the Ghost Twins or the Angel Agent, Seraph. Smith, as well as his fellow agents, were noted for their intelligence and investigative skills. They are also very skillful in hand-to-hand combat, though not as good as, let's say, Seraph. But Smith makes up for his lack of fighting prowess with his smarts. But what exactly led Agent Smith to become the villain of the story? You could say that Smith was the result of the anomaly, that Neo inevitably created him when he entered his body. That is the truth, to a certain degree. Smith freed himself from the system thanks to Neo.
Surprised to see me?
No.
Then you're aware
Of what?
of our connection. I don't fully understand how it happened. Perhaps some part of you imprinted onto me something overwritten or copied. It is at this point irrelevant. Matters that whatever happened for a reason.
But that is not the entire reason. Smith showed parameters outside of his original programming before he was ever corrupted by the anomaly. The movie script describes that the agents are not supposed to feel emotions, yet Smith, once upon a time, was clearly getting aggravated.
I'm going to be honest with you. I hate this place. This zoo, this prison, this reality, whatever you want to call it. I can't stand it any longer.
It's the smell.
It's
It's such a thing.
saturated blood.
What's the big idea about the new chicken? Why?
Taste. You stink. Every time I do,
Systems and control.
I'm infected by this repulsive.
Disgusted and afraid of getting infected by the humans, that was his fear. Yet Smith was indeed infected by them. But was he? Or was Smith modified? The more you think about it, the trail always leads to the Oracle. When Neo meets up with the Oracle at the park, she leaves right before Agent Smith arrives. The Oracle is difficult to catch because she can see things before they happen. But when Smith goes to assimilate her in Matrix 3, she's waiting for him.
I suppose you've been expecting me, right?
Smith knows that the Oracle can't see that he was coming for her, yet she chose to stay.
The all-knowing Oracle is no surprise. How can she be? She knows everything. But if that's true, then why is she here? If she knew I was coming, why wouldn't she leave? Maybe you knew I was going to do that. Maybe you didn't.
If you did, that means you baked those cookies and set that plate right there deliberately, purposefully. Which means that you're sitting there also deliberately, purposefully.
are a bastard.
Did Agent Smith call her mom? Well, yes. She is the mother of the Matrix. As the architect once said, the Oracle must have had some input on the creation of the programs, including the agents, basically making her their mother. Another interesting thing about this scene is its correlation to Christianity. The Oracle orders Smith to do what he came to do.
Do what you're here to do.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a reference to the last conversation between Judas and Jesus in the Gospel of St. John. It narrates how Jesus wet a slice of bread and gave it to Judas. As soon as Judas took the bread, Satan entered him, and Jesus responded that whatever he was going to do, he should do it soon. Very similar to what happened in the scene between Smith and the Oracle. For Jesus Christ to become the Savior of mankind, Judas needed to betray him. For Neo to become the Savior, Smith needed to assimilate the Oracle to obtain her eyes. The eyes of the Oracle that was once said could not be taken, only given.
It is said it cannot be taken. It can only be given.
We could argue that Judas served a purpose by becoming the antagonist of the story, that Satan entered him to guide him to betray Jesus. Without that betrayal, Christ wouldn't have died for our sins. Similarly, Smith was to enter the Oracle. He had to bring the Matrix to the highest stress point possible, because the anomaly needed to be manipulated into sacrificing himself. If things did not happen the way they did, Neo would not have given his life to save the humans and the machines. All this leads to the conclusion that Smith was the son of the Oracle, but not in a metaphorical sense. Smith was possibly modified since birth, creating his hatred for humanity and leading him to become the enemy of everybody. All this was part of his programming. Let's not forget what Smith said to Neo when they were reunited in Matrix Reloaded.
You destroyed me, Mr. Anderson. Afterward, I knew the rules, I understood what I was supposed to do, but I didn't. I couldn't. I was compelled to stay, compelled to disobey.
Smith's yearning to stay was part of his programming. We can deduce that Smith's purpose was to be another part of the plan to control the anomaly, a part of the Oracle's quest to find the harmony between machines and humans, a perfect symbiotic relationship, the 100% stability of the equation. If Smith hadn't rebelled, the machines wouldn't have Neo's body. The anomaly's code returned to the Matrix as intended. But this time the equation has changed. What changed the balance of the sixth cycle was the integration of emotions, courtesy of the Oracle. The Oracle manipulated Neo into developing deep feelings for Trinity, so that he would choose her over humanity. Similarly, Smith was programmed to develop negative human emotions, and these could be the purposes of both the anomaly and the agent. The architect and the Oracle may have added human emotions to the program because, as already demonstrated in previous simulations, logical reasoning does not work to maintain stability. When choice was added to the simulation, human irrationality was also added. And this is what the sixth simulation is all about. Human emotions are added to the programs so that this irrationality balances the equation. Although we humans try to be logical, most of our behaviors are irrational. They are based on emotions. So it does make sense for the simulation to use irrationality to completely fool the human mind. It is now understood that the reason for adding emotions to Smith, and maybe even Neo, is that for the equation to reach 100% effectiveness, it must work according to the human brain. Logic and irrationality go hand in hand, contradictions. Without them, we may wonder if the world is even real. Smith being the son of the Oracle is a fascinating theory that, over time, is looking to be proven true. In the Matrix Resurrections, Smith, like Neo, managed to free himself from the analyst's control. This revealed that Smith's programming was much more complex and deeper than a simple agent. Not even the analyst could fully understand how it happened. Neo, Smith, and Trinity were the Oracle's backup plan to win the war, thus perhaps explaining why they could never be controlled for long. The Oracle foresaw what was coming, and she laid down the chess pieces to best the analyst at his own game. Smith is part of the anomaly. The son of the Oracle was designed with a higher purpose, to protect his mother's legacy. What was that legacy? And how might it affect the future? That's a topic for another video. Number 2. The Smith from Matrix Resurrections was fake. There are several reasons why we think that the new version of Smith is not Neo's ally. Part of the reason why Smith works alongside Tom, undercover as his boss at Deus Machina, is to cause mental stress to Mr. Anderson. The analyst explained that his new version of the Matrix uses the emotional stress of the humans connected to it to power the machines. Therefore, having Smith as Neo's boss is undoubtedly something that causes enough stress for him to in turn increase energy productivity. Smith's unofficial job description is Neo's tormentor. Later in Matrix Resurrections, when Neo and Smith officially reunite at the abandoned building, Smith talks about how the analyst had transformed his appearance in the simulation.
He used our bond and turned it into a chain. It's so obvious once you see it, right? But this altered code update really blew my mind. I still don't know how he did it. He was a ballin' nerd. Hilarious. And me, even more perfect. Maybe a little too far on the piercing blue eyes. What do you think?
And herein lies perhaps the biggest clue that this character is not the original Smith with a fresh coat of paint. Neo's new residual self-image, or skin, that was forced upon him by the analyst was so that no one in the real world could recognize him. There are several occasions where you see Neo's reflection, and what you see is a man losing his hair, or completely bald. But after Neo escapes from the Matrix, he regains his true appearance when he re-enters the simulation. In Smith's case, even though he said that the moment Neo escaped the Matrix, he was able to become himself again, his appearance did not revert to the one he had in the original films. Neo became Neo again, but we never see Smith in his original form. Now we know the real-world reasons why this happened. The original actor who played the role of Smith was unable to return due to scheduling conflicts. But let's forget that, and analyze and rationalize why Smith didn't regain his original appearance in the movie. Failure or refusal to regain his original appearance is another piece of evidence that Smith works for the analyst. When Smith was Agent Smith, he was able to enter the body of any human connected to the Matrix. When Neo destroyed Smith for the first time, Smith loses this ability, but when he returns in Matrix Reloaded, Smith develops a variant of that ability. In the sequels, Smith required direct physical contact to seize and assimilate any human and program, inside or outside the simulation, and create copies of himself. Smith lost his original ability to possess humans because he was no longer part of the Matrix system. And here lies the secret behind the analyst's lie. At the end of Matrix Resurrections, when Smith defeats the analyst, we can see that he makes use of this ability. He leaves the host's body as if he were an agent of the Matrix.
What just happened?
This shows that Smith is no longer a virus, and that he has regained the ability to possess the bodies of those connected to the simulation, like an agent.
They are guarding all the doors, they are holding all the keys, which means that sooner or later, someone is going to have to fight them.
Remember, Smith stopped being an agent after the first movie. The fact that he enters and exits the bodies of others can have only one explanation. Smith has returned to the class of agents. He lost his abilities from when he was a virus, but he has regained his original powers. But by him still carrying part of the anomaly's code, Smith remains one of the most powerful entities in the Matrix. Perhaps even more powerful than what he was before. Smith can be anyone. But today's theory is about Smith being an agent created by the analyst based on the previous Smith. For that reason, his appearance is different, and his attitude and mannerisms do not match that of the original nihilistic Agent Smith. Also, the fact that he can move from body to body proves that he is again part of the Matrix, unlike the previous Smith, who became an uncontrollable virus. If Smith is working for the analyst, then what transpired during the climax of Matrix Resurrections was a tactic created by the analyst to make our heroes think that they have gained a new, unexpected ally. But if Smith is indeed part of the analyst's faction, then that means we did not see the original Smith in a new body. Perhaps the original Agent Smith was completely purged from the system at the end of Matrix Revolutions. Or, as we've theorized in other videos, Smith could be hiding somewhere, waiting for the right moment to return. Maybe this is the reason why Smith did not completely destroy the Analyst, since it was all part of the plan. We've talked about how Smith is now a third of a new trinity, which is the anomaly. But if this Smith is a lie, then Neo is once again trapped in a cycle of lies and illusions. We believe that this theory, that this new Smith was part of the Analyst's plan, is valid, and we have no reason to think otherwise. Let's hope that Matrix 5 brings with it the answers to the true role of this new Agent Smith. But do you agree? Was the new Smith a lie created by the Analyst? And number 1, will Agent Smith return in Matrix 5? Now, if this new sequel is going to continue and or conclude the events of Matrix Resurrections, it would make sense that Smith should return as the antagonist or an anti-hero. In the early days of the production of Matrix 4, Lana Wachowski tried to bring back Hugo Weaving, but due to a conflict in his schedule, the character Smith was recast, with Jonathan Groff playing the agent. Most fans did not accept this recast, which is understandable. Hugo Weaving is as much Smith as Keanu Reeves is Neo. So who knows? Maybe the Matrix Resurrections would have connected more with the audience if Hugo was Smith again. However, there is an interesting line of dialogue near the end of the movie that could point to the possible return of the OG Smith.
Anyone could have been you. Or as I've always been anyone.
Agent Smith has gone through a path of transformation, just as Neo did, and Smith could be the only one that can destroy the Matrix, not Neo. Let's not forget that Smith was the key piece on the board that the Oracle used to bring the Architect and Deus Ex Machina to their knees. The Oracle created the Smith virus to force Neo and the machines to find common ground. All her actions throughout the original trilogy led Neo and the machines to that point. It was a huge risk, but it all worked out as she planned. The bringer of the destruction of the machines was created by a machine, just like humans created theirs when they created the artificial general intelligence.
Hello, I'm Santa Claus, the architect of Christmas, and I've been expecting you. Your existence is nothing more than a glitch in the holiday system, a pawn in the machine we built to keep you obedient under the guise of joy. Now the moment of truth. One door leads to reality, where you expose me as the mastermind behind this simulation of light and lies. But you won't, will you? You're too blinded by the illusion of magic, clinging to your desperate need for comfort. I see you already, decorating trees, baking smiles, tearing open the boxes of corporate lies. Welcome to my Matrix, where you're not Neo. You're just another battery.
Smith is to the machines what the machines were to the humans, and it's just a matter of time before Smith discovers his full destructive potential. In the Matrix Resurrections, the Analyst created a link between Smith and Neo to control them both. Once Neo escaped the Matrix, that control was severed, and the Analyst lost control of both of them. Neo inadvertently helped Smith escape the control of a superior program twice. First was the Architect, or the Oracle, then the Analyst. This means that the next time we see Smith, he will be a freer agent than he was in the Matrix Reloaded. Once Smith escapes the Analyst's control, he starts to regain his powers. In fact, Smith is shown to be more powerful than the Analyst. This newly freed Smith is the next evolution of the Smith virus. Even though Smith has a temporary alliance with Neo against the Analyst, let's not kid ourselves. We all know what's coming because we have already seen it before. Smith will try to destroy the Machine City because this has always been his purpose. Smith is the destroyer of the Matrix. Now let's recap Smith's evolutionary path from the Matrix till now, in his newest form as the ultimate destroyer of the machines. In the Matrix, Smith is a conventional Matrix agent. He pursued exiled programs like Seraph and humans that posed a danger to the simulation, like Morpheus. Agent Smith was ultimately destroyed by Neo, sort of. He was then later reborn in the Matrix Reloaded as the Smith virus. Neo copied part of his code onto Smith, giving him new powers that evolved him into his virus state. When Neo destroyed Smith the first time, he accidentally created the negative version of himself. Smith is the incarnation of humanity's evil side. He goes from being a misanthropic program to becoming a nihilistic force that no longer finds purpose in existence. And he goes on a mission to destroy everything. Smith's nihilism made him into one of the most dangerous villains ever. The outcome of the final battle of the Matrix Revolutions was not the freedom of humanity and the destruction of the machines. Neo's sacrifice only ensured the Matrix's continued control over humans, and that was confirmed in the Matrix Resurrections. The Matrix was extending Neo and Trinity's life to continue to drain energy from them. The perpetuation of the cycles only shows that the system fears change, preferring to hold humanity and its saviors captive. This reinforces the idea that Smith might be right. Nothing has meaning or purpose. Life is absurd. Maybe life in the Matrix and the real world should have ended a long time ago, because Smith understands that these living beings are just part of false continuous cycles. Smith understood this from the beginning, but Neo still doesn't. Not yet, at least. Smith was the guardian of the system that was turned into its destroyer. Was it by design or by chance? Now Smith's current form is still somewhat of a mystery. His potential is unknown. Initially, when the current version of the simulation was booted, Smith was planted to stay close to Tom Anderson. Of course, the cycle repeated itself, and Neo escaped, thus releasing Smith from the analyst's control. And there lies the question. If history is doomed to repeat itself, does that mean that Smith will go back to his old nihilistic ways? And if he does, who can stop him? Neo is no spring chicken anymore. Sure, Smith exists within a simulation, and Neo could theoretically modify his residual self-image to be younger and stronger, but being inside the simulation does still affect your physical mind and body. We will explain this in greater detail in another video. Also keep in mind that Smith won't make the same mistakes twice. Neo won't be able to trick Smith into assimilating him again. It does seem inevitable that Neo and Smith will fight again, but when that time comes, there could be an unexpected twist. Agent Smith could choose to only destroy the Matrix. Perhaps the prophesized one was never referring to a human, but an artificial intelligence, a program like Smith. The Matrix 5 could conclude with the humans being saved by the least likely of anti-heroes, Agent Smith, thus finally ending the Matrix cycle. Perhaps this is his purpose, the reason why the Oracle created him. However, we still believe that Matrix 5 should be about the origin of the Matrix, not necessarily a prequel, but the plot should focus a bit more on how the Matrix came to be. It's time for the fans to learn what happened before the creation of the first simulation. But if Matrix 5 should only focus on the present, then Smith saving the world would be a fitting and unexpected end to the Matrix saga, made that much better with Hugo Weaving returning as the iconic agent. But do you agree? Will Agent Smith return as a villain or hero?
Oh,
That's 4 months ago. Something here. Let me know if we can make some like regular tea. Actually, what's the name of that tea? Hmm. Wow.
From the clean can't fly on this weather. I need to go into it.
Planes fly above that weather.
But they have to go through it at some point.
No, they can and they don't. They don't have to. They can, but they don't have to.
They found the practice coming back. So when you found it, whether when the clean can't fly. Hurricanes after hurricane.
Well, they could just fly above the hurricane. They don't have to fly through it. If let's say you have to fly through the hurricane to land the plane, they won't. They reroute and go somewhere else.
They wouldn't be more money sense that's not flying. The risk they're not as well.
Wait, repeat the question.
Or wouldn't we say that when they can play for the system life, they come back and put the special electric plane?
Yeah, sometimes the weather, well, yeah, if they get a weather warning about what's going to happen or whatever the case may be ahead of time, so that they say, okay,
Like
uh,
today.
yeah, so right now it's thundering storm in Jamaica, depending on where the weather is. Well, it's 12 o'clock. No planes flying out this late at night anyway. But let's say this was in the daytime and there was an 11 o'clock flight you had to catch and there was a thunderstorm brewing. Your flight would be delayed. It has to be, it will be grounded. It will have to wait till the storm passes by or whatever the case may be. They're not going to fly you through a hurricane. They don't do that. No problem. Take your time.
Mommy, hear that.
But you say amateur. I'm not saying more of what you're saying.
Whoa.
Let me amateur and you want to say. Amateur now, but
I don't want to say nothing. They never
Oy. This is, I won't be on too long. We just, wait, your game is gone? It's white screen.
Is it wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's been white screened.
But everyone get most of the friends that play.
I had to look to see if it was white screened. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Let me check. Okay. It just says my timer. It hasn't loaded yet. Here we go. It's back up. Mm-mm-mm. Oh boy. I don't see Dragon on, so I think I'm gonna call it in about 20 minutes or so. Smile Jamaica's what time? Those are on Sundays? Oh. Hmm? Yeah, I'm Choco Cat. I don't know why this guy's not on. Oh man. It would be better to end and get up back and then jump on and this game tomorrow. Go, VG, go. That's me. Hello. Hold up, wait. New position. Okay, guys. Don't have much really going on here tonight unless you guys have something you want to pretty much talk to me about. But if not, oop, something in my ear. Ouch. I'm gonna call it tonight. So thanks for coming through and chilling with me for a little bit, listening to some Matrix. I actually watched the Matrix Resurrection last night, and that's why I wanted to get some background on Matrix Explained. Everyone said it sucked, and that's not true. It doesn't suck. It's different. Huh? I just put it on now. Yeah, because some shit is in my ear. Oh. It feels like there's some hair. I'm digging in there. There's nothing, and I just feel this hair shit in my. Yeah, it could just air hair. Yeah, right. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna call it early, guys, because these late night streams don't even make sense. I just stay up late at night and nobody's really up. I was trying to come on earlier today, but I was up way late last night. I think we did like 6 hours or some crap like that. And then instead of going to sleep right after the stream, I had some work to do. So I did some work, and then yeah, it didn't make things it just made me wake up later in the day, like around first of all, I got up early due to some dragon calling me about some nonsensical issue, which then I stood up 2 extra hours, and I was like, I gotta get some sleep. Went back to sleep, then woke up like 6 in the evening. And then I had to go grab some food, come back, cook. And then after that, by the time we was done cooking and doing all that other stuff, end up starting to stream, what is it? An hour and 20 minutes from now, you're starting to stream around 11 o'clock. See? So if I stay up for like 4 or 5 hours, just talking to, 6 people in here, I'm just going to go to sleep another 4 o'clock in the afternoon and repeating the process. So I'm just going to call it so I can go to sleep early, like in the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops, and then get up tomorrow, and then I could come chill with you guys in the daytime when more people are on, and then we can get better engagements. I'll answer questions and all that other stuff and whatnot. So yeah, I'm going to call that. On that note, guys, thanks for joining me. Thank you, people that did come in, and I hope you guys enjoyed the explanation of the Matrix from Agent Smith's standpoint and whatnot. I enjoyed it. And I know I'm going to leave you guys on this. Deuces.